Check. Hello everyone and welcome to Stint 2 of Round 2 for the third season of the AquepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. Today we are coming from Blue Moon Infield A, which is apparently also in California, United States of America. So a short trip from last week's event at Laguna Seca. California, of course, not exactly a small state, but when you live in Australia, everything in America is a small state, bar Alaska. You expect me to say Texas there. Anyway, I will be your host, 6TC. And today I am not joined by Stint 1 commentator Noir Antares. It will just be me, so that is unfortunate for you guys, but more fun for me, as we are on what can only be described as a bull ring of a circuit. It is non-stop, very tight, very aggressive. You have to work hard the entire way around this place. There is a lot of corners where you can make a small mistake and find yourself in a lot of trouble, losing a lot of time, and find yourself with a car up the inside. We are going to go green here very, very soon. And of course, the grid for race 2, Stint 2 here, sorry, is set from the results of Stint 1, which concluded earlier. They are 90-minute stints for a total of 3 hours this weekend from Blue Moon. Remembering, of course, it was 4 hours for Laguna Seca. The calendar is a mix of 3 and 4 hour races, and that's how it will be for the rest of the calendar, with 3s and 4s dotted in as the AquepaX Racing boys have determined using their special calculator known as Groot. I believe we have all 9 cars scheduled for this second stint in the lobby, and we will go racing, I believe, at 10 minutes to the hour, which should be about 5 seconds away. So we'll just leave the replay arena so that I can jump in the replay arena immediately and not have to relog, because that bug probably still exists. So we have SBM for the Speedbot Motorworks. So Motorsport or Motorworks? Just having to second guess myself. I'm really good at that. I have the thought and then change my mind very quickly. They are defending winners. Also, they're Speed SBM Team Rennmeister. So the Speedbot Motorsport boys are now the Team Speedmaster. They won both races last weekend, and appears they've won the first one today. Can they go 4 in a row? As we see rolling away from the start here, we still have 9 listed. Good to know. We had a couple of disconnects last time out, and we're green. We've got all the regulars here. And we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out down into turn one. It's a very awkward transition off the banking here. A big step, making it very easy to go deep, run wide, turn it, break in too early and lose a position. And then again, the transition onto the back straight. Very aggressive, can unsettle the car. Fast left-hander here. Have to try and keep it not quite 100% to the outside, but slightly tight to keep it lined up for the right-hander at the end of sector one. And as we see, Broporio has run wide in RX Vision, and that'll cost him a position, and then he will have dirty tyres down into the hairpin, and Groot making a lunge in the other RX Vision GT, and he will sneak up the inside because those dirty tyres will make it impossible for Broporio to fight back, and Groot is now ahead. Now Broporio should have enough grip to get through this weird double apex. Oh no, but he's run wide, and Rotary for Full Throttle Racing is out to the inside in his AMG, but going through this corner, if you can hang with, you can get up on the slipstream. But oh no, DC Pastina Calder has also slotted through. And normally, if you can stay at the inside, stay close there, you can actually be passed and then slot back in and get the slipstream and repass your opponent. And now Broporio down to 9th place, very, very quickly there, shuffled out with one small mistake from 3rd. So got to be careful here in these opening stages to stay on the road, obviously that, but it's just really tricky for a lot of these corners to get those lines and not leave yourself half a second slow. And we see Desperith on the outside of Tietchy Scuderia, who was saying earlier, I don't know this track. How he doesn't know this track, I don't know, because it was in GT Sport, and we've seen a lot of racing here over the years. And we're now in GT7, and that was many, many years ago now, when those infields were put in. Even I've raced here in an FIA round. That's how long ago it's been in the game. I haven't been in the FIA arena for a long time. As Fred Do dives the inside of Scuderia. So that's the Scuderia Stossi team being passed by one of the AEquepaX Racing. So there's AEquepaX Racing Assetto and AEquepaX Racing Corsa. Which one's which, we've got no idea. I'll just be calling them AEquepaX Racing for the day. So we'll have a quick look back towards the front. And it would appear that SBM Extelen is once again well clear in the lead, 3 seconds ahead after 2 laps with a 105.3, which is a pretty quick lap, especially for a 90-minute race. We'll be doing about 80 laps around here. Once again, the Finnish contingent for the racing team Finlanders is up in 2nd place. He will be looking to try and come away with a podium here today. It's Jaylee. Just as we put Jaylee on, we have Go Jaylee from the chat. So, obviously a few fans. So Speedy Man, thank you very much for the update. Normally Nano Marinello would be the driver for that team, but instead we've got Broporio in the car. Sorry very much. Broporio in the car here, filling in because Scuderia Chiara were missing their main driver, and you had to go to their reserves, so good work actually having a reserve already and using it. In 3rd, we have AEquepaX Racing's car with AXR Groot. Last weekend, he was very much struggling with Gunaseca and shuffled down the order very quickly, but today, looking good for him. Started up, I think, 4th place and stole that position off Broporio, and holding 3rd place, not really holding up FTR Rotary at all. However, I've been hearing that tyre wear is proving absolutely brutal around here. You spend a lot of time turning left in highly loaded corners. You look from the last corner and then the first corner. You literally you do a full 360 degrees back to back, then have one fast left-hander, then have a right-hander that extends into a braking zone, then a sort of a double apex hairpin right-hander. So the tyres here cop a massive beating with how much rotation they have to do in only a minute. So potentially FTR Rotary, knowing that he has a tyre wear battle to be fought later on, being a little bit more gentle in the starting phase here than necessarily Groot. And we can see now that Rotary right up onto the back of Groot. And if he can make the move, it'll be down to turn 1, if anywhere. Got to try and cut as much of that as you can without getting a penalty. Also not hit the wall, but stay within slipstream despite the dirty air, and then get the run down the front straight. But it would appear he is not quite close enough, and he's actually losing in the slipstream, unless he's managed to pull out of the slipstream. He's losing ground in a straight line there, so the slipstream not that powerful from 5 tenths back for the AMG, and that could prove to be a massive drama for the Full Throttle boys, where they are stuck here behind Groot for this first stint. But it doesn't look like they're losing too much ground to Jaylee, so I wouldn't be too stressed out as the Full Throttle boys, because they're not losing all that much time to 2nd place. And let's be real, with Extelen already 7.5 seconds up the road, The fight is absolutely from second backwards, assuming Excellent can keep it safe. And we saw last weekend, he got caught hunting fastest laps and was making a few mistakes, didn't get damage, but made a few mistakes at Laguna Seca, which would normally punish us mere mortals by sending us to the pits with damage. But he did a very good job of making the smallest of mistakes. We did see, though, last week, the SBM car had horrible tyre wear compared to the entire field, but the Racing Team Finlander's car was very good on tyre wear, so potentially that pace difference could be more to do with managing tyres than it is necessarily outright performance. We saw a few dark clouds in the background there. I do believe the weather is random in all of these races, so we start in the afternoon, but it may rain at any time on any track that has rain. Whether this one does, I don't know that. I only knew that it was dry in that FIA race. Oh, Group with a bit wobble there. That's going to cost him. Rotary will get up the inside into the hairpin, and it will be the position to full throttle racing, and they will now have clean air to try and attack the Racing Team Finlanders. That's a big move for them. Group was trying to get the cutback there, but just got balked. However, with that straight line advantage, if he can stay close here through the second last corner, he will be able to attack back on that AMG, and he gets a really inside line, and that will keep him in the fresh air on the nose. It'll keep him turned down. With great camera angle, guys. And he will now have the opportunity to slipstream back on FTR Rotary. Tucks in. He'll now pull out to the outside. Rotary blocking the inside, right down the bottom. But can Groot get clean around the outside? He has the position, but does he have track position? Yes, he does, but Rotary tries to fight back on the inside, but it's not enough. Groot gets the position back, and Rotary will be frustrated with that one. Having found the position after a little mistake from Groot, unfortunately it was too late in the lap to break away from the very rapid RX Vision GT in a straight line compared to his AMG. Excuse me. As Extelen has now got a 105.2. I don't quite want to fall away from this battle, but I will just quickly mention DCT Pastina Carla for the TDR Design Racing Team in 5th. Hanging on here, not quite getting dropped, but the Tyler in that BMW will generally be quite aggressive. So I'll have to quick see, will he get through the second last corner, or both of them just missing the line a little bit, and unfortunately Rotary slower. HM Desperate with the, well, my personally favourite livery car for being the most interesting and exciting livery out there. Not a traditional livery, more so an art car for the Herman Motorsport Sim Racing ROT. Excuse me. I have no idea what ROT means or what the acronym is for in Germany. It's like GmbH means something, but I don't know. I know it's simply a function of not living in Europe to know these things, but he is holding off Fred Dude, who was very rapid last week. He had an incredible stint, I believe, in race 1, and pulled off a great recovery drive, but so far not able to make any impression on the Aston Martin. The gap's still sort of solid there. Now, riding behind them is, well, not quite riding behind, is Tich Scuderia. The L plate still on there, apparently because he is still learning the circuit. But now he's got some people to follow. It might be a little bit easier to learn where to go and how quickly the tyres wear out here. So we are completing very nearly a lap a minute. This is going to be about an 80-lap stint. It's going to be a long one, and it's a question of when you have to come in for tyres. We'll have to wait and see who blinks first on that one. And you've got Rapario filling in for Nano Marinello and the Scuderia Chiara car. However, they've taken the start, and if he can make his way to the finish, they will score very valuable points in the championship, because, of course, this is a championship. This is not just the one race. This is not just the one weekend. There is a whole championship going on over a course of 7 rounds, so any points are valuable if you can get them. Someone else may have a disconnect, and they can still finish ahead of them in order to steal back some points, not so with their main driver in, but any points are valuable. As in Formula 1, the constructor standings still get added to you if you have a driver out and put your substitute in. May be relevant to what's happening in Formula 1, I don't know, I haven't finished it, so Just odd that such a scenario plays out. Anyway, we'll go back to, Pastina Calder, it's happened again! He's done exactly what he's done in Laguna Seca here in Blue Moon Infield A, getting on the power, dropping the rear, and just nosing into the barrier, giving it a slight little rub, and now he's got front end damage. Has lost 10, 15 seconds, but that is worse for him. He's now down in 7th place, unable to have that nice clean air, that track position, so he's going to have to make his way back through Fred and HM Despeth. Okay. I read that one backwards about 3 times, and it worked out that I had it wrong. So I apologise to Despeth for getting that name wrong. But he's now 5th place with Fred Dude, and right up close in behind him, trying to make the move. Looks like he's decided that now he's got the tyre advantage, or something's going to happen with Despeth to make a little mistake, but Despeth sort of looks like he's taking defensive line, but he's actually not. Oh no, that is a defensive line. You can open the corner up there to make sure you get a nice straight braking zone so that you don't have to sit on the ABS and you sometimes run a bit long because you've got a little bit of steering lock in. It's a really annoying corner. Oh, Fred looked like he was going for the lunge there, which is probably not the right place for it, because that AMG will then be a sitting duck for the straight. As the AMG, I'm pretty sure it is slower in a straight line, but it looks like the AMGs have got a lot of downforce on. And the Aston Martin traditionally pretty quick in a straight line, same as the RX Vision. And Despeth straight to the bottom. Is that a pit stop? No, he's going below the white line. Rightio. I would suggest not doing that. I don't know if the white line is considered to be the wall there, or if it's considered to be the edge of the oval. But yeah, maybe someone from AequepaX can let the chat know so that drivers can be informed that things may or may not be legal, so they do not end up getting penalties later on. Sorry, I'm 1 click away from where I wanted to be. So Despeth, yeah, it's definitely tyre wear. He's starting to feel the pressure here from Fred. How much longer can Despeth go? Oh, Fred with a dive to the inside, but no. Nothing doing. Despeth getting it turned down and still ahead, but Fred looking very antsy to get on by to try and work into the clean air so he can have a little bit better tyre wear in that clean air and chase on after FTR Rotary and his teammate AXR Groot. Pastina Calder not really falling away from them either, so even with that front aero damage, he's doing a very good job. Excuse me, because considering that turn 1 is an aero corner for most of it because you're driving with such speed, turn 3 is aero, the last corner is all aero, so unlike Laguna Seca where most of the track was medium to low speed, a lot of this track requires that front grip, and Fred taking a really aggressive external line trying to get it done but unable to make it happen because the extra distance, making the extra speed not worth it, well, not worth enough to overcome. So we'll have to wait and see if he can get this done. Oh, and I just was thinking about looking back on it as Groot and Rotary are battling. Rotary's gone up to the inside, Groot's done the cutback, Rotary's done the cutback, and now Groot will do the cutback. They are fighting tooth and nail here. 2 moves on each other. Rotary has the lead, Groot backs out there and deciding not to commit to an inside move. However, we come out onto the straight. And again, look at the infield for some reason. It's our 4/10. Can Groot get this one back into turn 1? He was a lot closer last time, but I don't think he's going to be close enough this time, and Rotary will keep the position. Both AMGs, despite their straight line disadvantage, making those moves later on. So the AMG boys might, even though they're in totally different teams, might have figured out a way to get the cars set up to look after the tyres, allowing them to fight later in the stints and potentially go deeper in those stints. But Groot not really looking like he's been beaten here. He's looking like this fight has only just begun. So it's a really good turnaround for the AequepaX racing car compared to last weekend. So he's obviously a lot more comfortable here at Blue Moon with no sausage curbs to ruin his day. Just nice grass on the inside of the painted curbs and sometimes even concrete on the inside with a big wobble there on the exit. The rear drive traction of that RX Vision hurting him, but Rotary misses the apex and Groot is right back in underneath him. 4/10 back. Can he get a clean run through here in order to make an attack? Oh, Rotary runs wide, touches the wall. He'll lose a lot of speed. As the gap is right down, Groot will now pull to the inside and just cruise away from him. But Rotary is now very close. Oh, Rotary tried to duck back down, get into the slipstream to make an attack back, but unfortunately grabbed the side of Groot's car, and he's once again behind the AquepaX racing car. So Full Throttle Racing and AquepaX Racing having an absolute ding-dong battle here in Stint 1. Taking the narrow line, Groot taking the wide line. Oh, just about got back up the inside, but the extra speed from the outside meant that Groot's gone! Turned in, oversteered, got to the curb, and has now ploughed into the wall. No engine damage, however. It is still front. He's on the throttle there, and now finally grabs reverse. I think he was ghosted on the apex. It looked a lot worse for a second there. And AquepaX Racing's Groot down into 8th place now. He was sat on the throttle. I'm not sure if that was... Sorry, sat on the throttle. Sat on the brake, trying to make sure he didn't back out into traffic. Waited for everyone to clear in order to safely rejoin. And while all that was happening, Fred Dude in the other AquepaX Racing car has snuck past Durspith. So apologies to Fred missing his moment of glory. But there was a really good battle there between Groot and Rotary. So one AquepaX Racing car goes up, one goes down. All things remain balanced. So it is only 15 minutes. This is coming to the end of the 16th minute of this race, and it is already the 15th lap. So it is going to be an absolute grind here for these guys. They'll see a lot of turn 1 here. They'll see a lot of every single corner that can make a mistake, and that's Groot in for tyres and a repair of damage. So here's the first stopper in this race, 16 minutes in, but I think that's more so for damage than it is a strategy call. So the rear end, oh wow, I'm not sure how he's done that, to be honest. There'll probably be a little bit more when the post-race chat messages come through, because of course being in Australia there's a fair bit of latency on my end, so something may have happened that wasn't necessarily shown for me because cars are in different positions, could have touched the grass, and I just couldn't see that one. So that's going to change maybe when we hear what happened, or it could be a message from Groot saying, no, I just made the mistake. I saw last weekend that he appeared to just fall off the road going through Rainy Curve, but from his point of view, he had obliterated the sausage curb, caught air, landed, and then got spun off the road. But we'll have to wait and hear from him. And Rotary is in, and all very, very worn rear tyres for him. So Durspith, Rotary, all coming in. So it appears that Groot has triggered the pit stop phase. So it's going to check back in with SBM out at front, and yeah, I'd say the tyres are dead. No, never mind. Now they're dead. They have got nothing left in the Speedbot of Motorworks car. And we'll see if he pits this lap or if he continues on those completely worn out tyres. We should be seeing sparks. Those should be rims. It would appear, yes, he comes in this lap, which would mean that the leader becomes the Racing Team Finlanders, Jaylee. But we'll have to wait and see if he comes to the lane. And Prepario's still going. He's actually got quite good tyre wear in that Mazda. So doing well as a replacement for the Scuderia Chiara car. And Jaylee does in fact go on. Tyre wear, not really. It is better than the Speedbot car, but it's not better enough, I would say, to make multiple pit stops like they had last week. But with the short stints happening here of 16 minutes, as opposed to, it was 17 minutes, it was 20 last time out. Maybe they can take a couple of spots back with a couple of stops back, but considering they're already only 8 seconds ahead of the SBM car, I suspect this is the race for second place for them. Fred Dude continuing in his AMG, so the AMG's with good tyre wear. Rotary having just pitted with brand new tyres, so Fred doing a great job here with the AquepaX Racing car having a different strategy. Not necessarily a better one. We'll have to wait and see how they all play out, because of course these races get to the middle point where you're not quite sure who's going to end up where and who's missing 1 or 2 or even 3 pit stops potentially today. We'll have to wait to the final 20 or so minutes to sort of shake out who's got what in terms of tyre wear and strategy and track position, and then we'll consider who's actually got pace. Because so far, the pace is not going to be as important as being able to run 4 or 5 laps longer, because that 4 or 5 minutes can cut out pit stops by the end of this race. And Fred's in, at the end of the 19th minute, so potentially going to make the car lighter and go longer in the second stint and stick to 20-minute stints, which would bring him in 5 times over the event, whereas the others around him are looking at 6 so far. Durspyth has been in, Scuderia has been in, Pastina Calda has been in. They've all taken a lot of fuel, so Pastina Calda potentially doing something else because he's back to full fuel in that car instead of running it sort of 3/4 to half full with these particularly short stints. I would expect, half car. And Groot's getting the run on him. He might be punished for all that extra fuel weight because he's now got less acceleration, less braking. Got the M6 good under brakes, but not good enough to fight out AXR Groot. So Groot on the recovery drive already. So they're both pitted for damage. And Pastina has been passed. So TDR Design back to 8th place with Groot on the recovery. It looks like the way he was sliding that car in. Might have either lost the rear or potentially grabbed the inside wall with too much rotation and pinged off it. So maybe that was what was going on. So Brapario finds himself in the pits, but he's got great tyres. He could have gone forever. He's sticking to that 20-minute schedule because no, he got on 24 and he would have had the greatest tyre wear of everyone, which is what hopefully Jaylee will do. I think he'd have to do another 3 laps to make that strategy work, but he would, if he comes in, well, if he does 2 laps and does less fuel for the rest of it, he'll have better tyre wear. So maybe not all is lost for the Racing Team Finlanders. We'll have to wait and see. And they've still got that lovely triple decal on the diffuser with that extended projection, I believe it is. I've no idea if it's intentional, but I love it. Thanks, guys. It's a good little feature. You just see this little white hanging out underneath the car, and you have to wonder what it is. And he does stay out. So Jaylee for the Racing Team Finlanders will be staying out and hopefully getting into the 24-minute window schedule, which means he will only take 4 pit stops, making this race a 5-stint race in that GR Supra concept. He is still leading this race by 3 seconds, but expect very quick lap times now from the Speedbot Motorworks car, Motorsport Motorworks. One day I'll figure it out. With Extelen taking over from his teammate SBM Caliber. They went pole position, win fastest lap last weekend, and they are looking to do the same, I believe, with the first stint going to his teammate SBM Caliber. He's done 105.3s on clockwork, apparently, since coming out of the pits. So just looking after the tyres, not going all out so far. I agree, good work from Jaylee here to have the pace he's had, because remember, he was in second before the pit stops and wasn't exactly holding anyone up to have this kind of tyre wear. So they've done a great job down there to make this car quick and look after its tyres. And he comes in at 22 minutes. He's going to have to find 2 laps on the next stint if he wants to buy another pit stop. But that car will be a lot lighter on fuel. If he only needs 60-odd litres of fuel, the car will be 40 litres of fuel lighter, which is something in the region of 35 kilos, which is a big chunk of fuel and a lot of time. As the Speedbot Motorworks car comes through and sets a new fastest lap of 105.196. Need Caliber to join the chat and tell us if a 104 is possible and exactly how quick is possible, and then we'll have to wait and see for Extelen to do it. And we can see Rotary now, having cleared Fred Dude since his pit stop, is a whopping 13 seconds ahead. But if Fred is going longer, 13 seconds is not going to be enough. However, it is quite a short pit lane here at Blue Moon Bay, I believe. So the advantage of taking pit stops off people isn't necessarily as big as it was in Laguna Seca, but it's a lot easier to take a pit stop advantage off someone. So it's going to be an interesting balance to see who can make the time on the track and in the pits, because we are still only 23 minutes into a 90-minute stint. We're not even 1/3 of the way through, and we're already talking about when the second pit stops are coming in. Last time we were still wondering who was going to come in when. The mystery was only half resolved for us. But today everyone's already been in, and we're talking about second stops happening about on the half-hour mark. So 5 seconds behind Fred is Durspyth with the greatest livery so far. I'm waiting for Racing the Machine to show up so I can see their livery, because they've got the best name. Can they have a good livery to go with it? And then we'll worry about things like being quick or having good strategy. DCT Pastina Calda is Oh, hang on. Oh, no, they're all in a fight here. I completely missed this somehow. I apologise to everyone involved in that because Groot had passed Pastina Calda and is now back behind him. And THC Scuderia for the Scuderia Stossi Umli team, all fighting for 6th place. So Pastina Calda back into 6th, Groot stealing 7th, and THC Scuderia for the Scuderia Stossi shuffled back to 8th, but he hangs on around the outside to try and keep up with Groot. Just unable to stay there. Did he get damaged that? It looked like he was... Oh, he's gone to mediums. Well, that explains Scuderia's pace to suddenly be behind both of them. He's decided the tyre wear is just too bad. He's going to the mediums to try and find some longevity on that tyre as the sun starts to lower. So he will no doubt find a better consistency of tyre to cut some pit stops out. However, with the sun starting to fade, the temperatures will begin to drop and he'll get even more tyre wear. So potentially jumping to the mediums a little early, because those softs will last longer with lower fuel and lower temperatures. But THC Scuderia here is 2/10 up on his PB. Was he on mediums the entire time? And I just didn't notice. I have to ask someone from the Scuderia Stossi squad if that is in fact the case, and if it is, I apologise, and if it's not, that's pretty quick on the mediums, considering you're doing softs in the first stint, and it is indeed a PB for him. And we see Groot catching back up to Pastina Calda again. For Team TDR Design, looking that way, it looks bright and sunny, but looking the other way, the shadows are getting longer and longer, the sun's getting lower, so it's another 105.1 for SBM Extelen. I think it was a 1.9 before, now it's a 1.7. Just, inching that fastest lap bracket ever so slow, ever so close towards the 5.0, and by the end of the day, he'll knock out a 4.9, something in that region, maybe a 4.8, just for fun. There's not much track here to try and make up multiple tenths, but they'll find a way. That's what the Speedbot Motorworks boys do. And it's Groot starting to line up. DCT, Pastina Calda, once again. I believe Pastina Calda and THC Scuderia were in a different race during Stint 1. I saw on my friends list that those two were hanging out in a lobby that looked like it was quite full and quite an aggressive race going on. It was an other endurance series. But those guys are staying warm by doing a different race before hopping into this race. So got the same sort of vibe as someone in their second stint, just have to pick up a slightly different rhythm depending on what track they were at. Hopefully it was Blue Moon Infield A on the PD VOP, and they'll be perfectly dialed in. Groot not quite able to get through that time. Once again, he just looks really quick today, but it's a little unstable, same as it was last week. And there's little slides that just costing him time at critical moments where he needs to be getting closer to the car in front as opposed to just falling away from it. So there he gets a nice run and there's a little shimmy and then it's still a bit tense, and Pastina Calda gets away from him. But of course, that BMW, very good through the medium high-speed corners. So Groot's going to have his work cut out for him, trying to get through the second last corner close enough to abuse the incredible straight line speed of that RX Vision, whereas the BMW not known for a particularly strong top speed. So in the low speed there, he gets a great drive and is actually pulling on Pastina Calda before we get to the second last corner, and really aggressive through there. He knows he has to get in there and get it done. 3/10 back with the slipstream. He will absolutely be having an attack here down to turn 1. Does Pastina Calda fight him, or does he just stay on the racing line? They touch the line, and no, Groot lifts. Groot lifts, doesn't make the move. Pastina didn't fight him, and Groot didn't pass him. So, strategy. It can't be fuel saving. They've got half a tank to a stint. Unless he's put the wrong amount of fuel in because he pitted early and did not realise that he was going to have to go longer in this stint to get back on his strategy. So, not sure what's going on there. That's going to be interesting. I'll have to ask Groot at some point later on. We can see Scuderia has now fallen 5 seconds back. So after doing that 107.6, he's made a couple of mistakes there and lost another 1.5 seconds. And the car behind is the leader. It's Extelen coming to lap them. Sorry, Extelen has lapped them, so that's what's going on. He's actually had to let the leader through. We're seeing blue flags now for Groot and Pastina Calda, and we can see Dospaith is right in front of them, so they're actually catching him. He's doing 107s, they're doing 107s, but they're low 107s and high 106s. So we're going to see another fight here with Groot Pastina trying to pass another car. If they can catch the 7 seconds. It looked closer. Never mind, it looked closer on the on track. Who is it? Oh, that'll be Broporio that's directly in front of them. I apologise. I thought that was I thought they were catching a different driver. I apologise, guys. And Proporio just pulls out the way, jumps on the brakes, lets them through, sees the leaders coming and goes, oh, I'll let him through as well. So great work from Scuderia Kaio car, not getting in the way, keeping out of the way, keeping the race going, just ticking over, and he'll get some nice, valuable points for the team. So that's one of the things you have to do in endurance racing. Sometimes you have to know when it's not your day and when to sort of try to bring it home in a nice position, try and get some points, as opposed to fighting to the death to try and take a position you were never really going to get and then end up making it worse. So Groot was hanging out very happily in P3 earlier on, and now he's fighting for P6. So maybe one of those days for him where he's just got to try and get back as much as he can and then consolidate when he lands somewhere when he's happy enough with it, as opposed to trying to fight back to P3 necessarily. But with the pace he had, maybe he can. And this time he has another run. Under 3 tenths back, down to 2 tenths. He should be able to make the overtake here with the leader coming. And this time he pulls out, goes to the inside, he's completely alongside, and he'll be side by side in the braking zone at turn 1. I think the narrow line there is probably actually good for Groot, because when you come down later on in that corner, the step is more aggressive. Oh no, Pastina gets back up the inside. I didn't think he had the drive. I didn't even consider that the move was on. And Pastina Calder once again ahead of Groot. That's great racing. He used his line around the outside to get a better run off turn 1 there, and then was able to slot back in at turn 2. So great stuff from Pastina Calder. Team TDR Design. I'll be very happy with that, as the leader now has to try and make his way through Groot and Pastina Calder. Pastina needs to jump out the way here on the straight, so he's very cleverly picked a place where Groot will not get an advantage on him in order to let the leader by. And that means he is safe for at least another lap, and he should be able to just tuck back down and get some slipstream, but apparently not, as the SBM car, very slow in a straight line compared to what I was expecting to see. But then again, he didn't really get a slipstream because he was already up the inside in the final corner. And Groot closes back up to touching distance. Anyway, what I was saying was that narrower line, the step isn't as aggressive coming down onto turn 1, and with that rear instability Groot's got, that might actually make it just a little bit more pleasant for him to drive. However, he doesn't seem to mind. He wants maximum lap time, and he's now right behind Pastina Calder, who will now be getting dirty air off the back of that Speedbot Motorwork car, and potentially means that Groot can launch another attack. However, he will also be getting slipstream up that front straight to help him defend. Groot unable to get it turned back the way he wanted in order to keep Pastina Calder very close in front of him, but it is a 3-tenth gap between the two of them. 4 tenths now, so not quite the right line Groot wanted, but he's been very good through the second last corner here, sliding that car through, making up time, and again gets a better run through there, but ultimately not as close as he would like to be in order to make a move. It's over 4 tenths. He will have to wait for another lap, because of course the Speedbot Motorwork car might have been giving him a little slipstream. We're not going to get a time gap on that one. Groot gets down to the apex, so it's not a bad line for him. He seems to be able to hook the exit up and just cost him a little speed on the way in, but it's a nice stable line. Or Pastina misses the apex a little bit, but again, not enough to hurt him. So it's a lot of tricky corners here where missing the apex is very easy, and you just lose a lot of time. There's not much you can do about it. Once you've missed it, it's over. You just got to try and drive a little more conservatively next time around, and each lap the tyres are getting worse and worse and worse. We will check in with Jaylee just real quick to see where he is. So he is coming out of turn 1 just as Excellent is going into the final corners. So huge gap there of 31 seconds on this 60-second track. Of Rotary only 4 seconds behind. So full throttle racing with a very quick car. Freddude hasn't lost any time since his pit stop. We'll go back with Pastina. No, it's now second. So Groot's made a mistake, and we see Excellent is in again at the 33-minute mark. There are still 57 minutes to go, 56 minutes to go, so he will have to pit another 3 times, at least. And he'll be 5 minutes short still, so we'll have to wait and see how he figures that one out. And Jaylee for the racing team Finlanders is on the front straight. Will he still retake the lead, or has he not been able to catch up enough? And Speedbots keep the lead. Excellent stays in front. Jaylee, with his pit stop advantage, has not got enough pace in hand to make it happen. As Rotary, well, he's due in soon, but he's had a great stint. 106.2 from him, all 106s. There's a couple 107 lows in there from him, so he's been very quick. But so has Jaley. Look at the consistency, which is 106s the entire stint there. Other than that 108, something might have gone wrong there, but he's got really good pace. They've got great tyre wear, so it's going to be very tough for Rotary to catch him. It's going to take a bit of back markers or mistakes for that to happen, but at 4 seconds back, he very much feels in this race. It's just a question of how the pit stops play out. And Fred, with his extended stint, might be able to buy a pit stop back from Rotary and have that fight later on for best AMG and for back spot on the podium. Despite in the Aston Martin. Sort of in no man's land here. He's got 4 seconds to Pastina Calder and group behind him, and 15 in front. And I believe the guys behind have been catching as the tyre wear kicks in again for Despite. We saw in that first stint, Fred was able to make an advantage on him with that tyre wear. So potentially some action in the near future, but Pastina not at all limited by fuel. Groot's just fallen back now. He's 2 seconds off Pastina, so potentially once that tyre wear kicks in on the RX Vision GT, instead of being sort of an understeer, you lose 2-3 tenths. It's an oversteer becoming a little bit sketchy for him. He's having to really back it off to try and make it safe in certain parts of the track. 1.6 there, 1.7, not a great run, so it's also got understeer. But look, he's just picked the wall up, and Despite is in on this lap. Unhappy with that tyre wear. It's a weird timing, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out, because we're talking about second stops at 1/3 distance. Groot, again, yeah, it doesn't look too bad, but he just hasn't got that aggressive edge he had earlier on, or potentially because he was trying so hard to pass Pastina, just burned the tyres up a little earlier than he would have liked, and he's now suffering from a level of tyre wear he would not have wanted at this phase of his stint, knowing he still has maybe 4 or 5 laps to go. Have to wait and see how it plays out. And Rotary is in. That gap between himself and Fred continues to be 13.5 seconds. It genuinely has not. It may have fluctuated, but the net position has not changed. But Fred with, well, he's in a little red on fuel, which means he's into his final 10 litres of fuel. Will be in sooner as well. No real advantage there for him, but potentially one pit stop. So Rotary on the 18 minutes, 36.72. So yeah, he will cut up. He will take a pit stop more. Yeah, 36.72 and then 90. Yeah, so he is. I've been thinking 2 hours, haven't I, with all my strat calculations? I apologise, because 20 minutes, of course, is not going to get you to the end of a stint. So 18 minutes is one of the strategies, and it'll be 24. No, I have to work that one out. That one's caught me off guard. So I believe the options in terms of strategy are 18 and 24 minute stints. 24, 48, 72. No, that's not right at all. So it's 20. Brain, please. It can't be 18 and 30. Because if it's 18 and 30, you may as well just be on the 18s. Ooh, okay. I'm missing something. Very obvious. I'm sure someone will let us know in chat that I'm actually just an idiot. Anyway, back to the racing. Jaley, only 11 seconds now off the leaders. However, they still owe us a pit stop, but no time soon. So we'll have to wait and see if they can make an impression on the Speedbot boys. And we're seeing mid 105s from Exterland, so he's obviously not interested in fastest lap right now. Bit of traffic. The sun will come down a little further, and then, well, actually, I might be maxed out because I don't know if there's an evening for Infield A. So there's a night session for Infield A. But maybe it is getting a little bit more golden everywhere. The grandstands aren't so illuminated as before, but we'll have to wait and see. I know the Oval has a night, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. A lot of waiting and seeing, but that's the nature of endurance racing. We're going to go looking for a battle here somewhere, and Groot, again, he's holding 2 seconds back, so he might have just sort of figured out what is required to make that car viable for him. Scuderia now about to get lapped in the Scuderia Stossi team, and he pulls over to the side, lifts off, tucks back in, gets back on the racing line, and away he goes. On those mediums, as Baroperio hops back into the pits, comes out with a nice fresh tyre car in that lovely classic Mazda livery. of the 787B, not the one you're thinking of, but the actual team livery of that car and of that era, which is what Mazda used to run, as Groot and Fred both come in. Same lap for the AquepaX Racing boys. Groot with probably a bit more tyre than you'd like to come in with, but the tyre imbalance is a real issue for him. And Fred is back out there. 5 seconds behind Pastina. 9 seconds behind Rotary, so a total gap down of 15 seconds. So it's cost him a second and a half by being undercut, quote unquote, by the FTR car, and hopefully he can stay at that 15 seconds back and make their strategy difference play out. So we've got a lot of variation here. Oh, Rotary making a little mistake there. That might cost him in drive, so potentially a little advantage back to Fred too. And we sort of have hit that lull where everyone is spread out and things look dull, but they will of course come back to us as the race goes on, because we have so many interesting strategies to play out in terms of who's going long, who isn't. So it's gonna come back to us like it did at Laguna Seca. Oh, excuse me. Oh, jeez. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Horrible reflux. Anyway, so Pastina holding a 5 second lead of Fred, but he was fighting Groot. So Groot will be undercutting Pastina. However, if he's pitting that early, he may end up with more pit stops. I've thrown the calculator at it, and the pit stop range is 18 minutes and 22 and a half minutes. So the next pit stops will be on ideal strategies at 54 minutes for those making 4 pit stops, 5 stints. Making 4 pit stops will be on the 18th, so 54 minutes, and those doing 22 and a half minutes will be coming in at 1 hour and 7 minutes for their final pit stops. So we are nearing halfway, but we are also nearing the range where guys are starting to looking towards their last pit stops. And the 22 and a half squad should still be out there. They would come in at the 45-minute mark. So guys like Jaylee will stay out, as they will only have to do 4 more minutes. Rotary is on the shorter stint plan. Pastina is a long way from making it to the 45-minute mark, but that's where he needs to be if he wants to save a pit stop. So potentially, if he can take less fuel in the next stint, he will have the ability to have slightly better tyre wear in order to just push out that extra lap that he needs to try and get back on the strategy that he is set out for. We see Fred also with fresh tyres. So he is committing to a sort of in-between strategy. It's neither 18 nor 22 and a half minutes. And it's looking dark again, but it's not looking dark because it's sun. It's looking dark because it's cloudy. It's not a lack of light so much. So not a lack of sun as much as it's a lack of light. And the blue flags are kicking in for him. They're kicking in a long way back. It's Formula 1 levels of blue flags of the leader will pass you in the next 40 laps. You better get out of the way. But the way the Speedbot boys with Extelen at the wheel are going, that will not be 40 laps, it'll be 4. And the headlights are really starting to take over, so a little bit less light still, so temperatures potentially dropping even further. Tyre will get better for everyone on those softs. And we'll see Scuderia, who's now in 6th place, being attacked by Duspaith in the Herman Motorsports car. They are... they've got a lot less fuel than I would have expected, but their pit stop was 6 laps ago, so it only has to do 12 more. But I would have expected them to be burning more than 2 litres per lap, so potentially, they've both run wide there. One's decided if he can do it, I can do it too, and both bumped the wall, running a little wide, lost a bit of speed, but still holding 6th and 7th. Despite needs to get through Scuderia here and get back on with his race, because he is fighting Groot and was it Fred? No, maybe Pastina. That's right. Pastina and Groot for position. So him being stuck back here, where I think he pitted early and got a little bit of an advantage on Groot. But you can see Groot is making big inroads on him right now. Gained 3/10 in that previous corner. Now down, gain another 4. Get another one, sorry, to make it 4 on this lap. So he needs to clear Scuderia and get some clean air and get on with his race, because it's currently costing him against Groot, who is currently making his way back towards him, and Pastina Calder will drop in on top of them as well. And can Despite make the move? He takes the slipstream, goes to the inside. It looks pretty comfy, and I suspect Scuderia will not fight that. He is on mediums, and they are worn old mediums as opposed to nice new softs on the Despite Herman Motorsport car. Actually, they're not new anymore, but rather used. Anyway, so not sure what's going on there. So they might end up taking an extra pit stop there based on that fuel. Could have been a glitch in the pit lane, could have been a mistake from the driver, could be the strategy where they've decided that they want to run shorter stints, not have to fight the tyre wear, and just go fast for the rest of their home because they've decided that the pit stops are not that long around here. So you can see that the pit stop laps are 1 minute 20 and 1 minute 18, which means you've only lost 22 seconds for a stop across the in and out laps. So it's not as bad as the Gutterseka where it's close to 40. And we see Pastina Calda into the pits with no front right left. He's at half a minute early, so by the time he comes out of the pits he might find himself right on schedule, but you just say you need one lap. He just needs to find one lap out of that car on tyre wear to make himself comfortable somewhere between now and the finish. He's got 2 stints to do it in because he's doing 22.5 minute stints, so he will be... Again, that's a lot of fuel from Pastina. And I'm really surprised that he's done that because he's now come out right behind Groot. And I don't think he needs 85 litres of fuel in that car in order to get through a stint. Had he just put in 75 litres of fuel, 65 litres of fuel to do that 22-minute stint, he would have come out quite comfortably ahead of Groot, and now it doesn't have to fight him. But now he's 4 tenths back. They've got Jaylee lapping them, or being caught by them. I'm not sure, I haven't really paid attention. I thought Jaylee would be lapping them, but it's a 3-car train and Pastina wants to get by as soon as possible. So it's going to get very awkward from here. I would expect Jaylee in this lap, though. He's got fuel and tyres to keep going, but I don't know how he's going to make that into another pit stop advantage unless they're just running it until it feels bad and then they'll bring it in and have a nice short one at the end to try and attack fastest lap, make themselves safe from their opponents. So, not sure what's going on there, but the slipstream from Jaylee for Groot makes Pastina Calda makes Pastina Calda hard to get a run. I'm losing my mind here. And Groot now slots himself back up the inside of Jaylee. So, these guys are quicker than the guy in second place and are trying to unlap themselves, which is not what Jaylee wanted. He wants a nice, clean, safe race. He doesn't want to have to fight anyone because he's fighting guys... because he's 26 seconds clear of Rotary in second, which means when he pits, it will only be 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe right on top, 4 seconds and lower, because of course his pit stops will be longer because he's going longer, so he'll need more fuel, and Pastina slots it up the inside of Jaylee. So Jaylee losing time here relative to Rotary, who is on, well, now worn tyres, but they are fresher, and he will be making inroads there, and you can see it's now under 25 seconds, so... It's not all said and done here between Jaylee and Rotary, but I'm not sure if they both owe us the same number of pit stops to the end still. But either way, when Jaylee does pit, he will have to fight Rotary as well, so not the best little passage of play there for him. He's lost a couple of seconds in getting unlapped by the guys around him, and now he's got a nice slipstream of Pastina Calda, but Pastina Calda will be much quicker in the braking zone with those brand new tyres on that car. And he has disappeared there, already gained 4 or 5 tenths, and he'll set off after AquepaX Racing, AXR Group, at the wheel there. So those two have been fighting for a while, and their gap between Groot and Despite is now 4.5 seconds. And Despite with good tyres, but he'll be in on fuel very, very soon. So not quite sure what's happened there. Maybe they still need one more stop. Instead, they knew they had to make 2 more stops, so they decided to short fuel it. So he'll be... Yeah, he'll be short of that, 54 minutes? Yeah, that's 6 laps away, and I think they're burning more than 1.6 litres per lap, because he is already in the red on fuel, so he will have to do 2 awkwardly long stints that are not quite the 22.5, but are longer than the 18 that are required to get this one home. Check in on Fred, he's now 18 seconds behind Rotary, so potentially Rotary having a better stint there, but remember he was getting undercut with Rotary coming in earlier. But they're very similar on fuel, so they're going to resync, I think. and that is a real position. So Fred unable to take a pit stop off Rotary, which means that his real position is 18 seconds behind Rotary, which is terrible news for the AquepaX racing car, and terrible news for us because I was looking forward to seeing how that battle played out on track at the end. If Fred could try and keep himself a pit stop inside Rotary, and then Rotary would have to chase him down and fight him for position 3 here. But it looks like on the fuel, Fred's decided to give up that in-between strategy to try and focus on the 22.5s and make it happen. And he's going to lock in 4th place here, unless we can see some mistakes or some drama. We've got lapped cars. We've got a very tricky circuit. You're around every corner once a minute, basically. And with still 40 minutes left in this race, over 40 minutes, you've still got to get around most of these corners about 38 more times. 38 more times? No, that'd be 82 laps. So 36 more times at least. And Scuderia hops completely out the way there for the FTR car. Have a quick look. He's gone back to the softs, has gone to the softs for the first time, having pitted on the previous lap. It was a 26 second loss for him, and sets his new personal best of 107.2 on the previous lap. But unfortunately for him, Rotary much quicker with a 106.5 there while lapping, and we can see that Groot is now the meat in a sandwich as Pastina comes towards him from behind, trying to catch back up, and Durspike is who they are catching. He's sort of holding off Pastina Calder, but it looks like he is definitely gaining on Durspike. And Her Motorsport with fans in the chat looking to try and hold on to position 5 here. They've not necessarily been the quickest car, but they've made no real mistakes. They haven't gone off. They haven't run into anyone. They've just trucked around, making nice, solid lap times, reasonable tyre wear. So they might be able to hang on to 5th here, or they might end up with 7th place with Groot and Pastina catching. We'll have to wait and see, because we've seen Pastina loves to get a little bit sideways when he is pushing at the end of a stint on those worn tyres, and potentially can make that mistake again. He made it twice last week. He's made it once so far today. Based on the averages, he's due to go once more, but I know the TDR design team will believe in Pastina that he won't happen again. That M6 won't get the better of him with its awful traction worries where it randomly tries to murder you. So I'll have to wait and find out instead of waiting and seeing, like I've said with every other sentence. And Braporio jumps out of the way again in the Scuderia car as Extelen comes in after 51 minutes. I think it's a little early actually, but I'm not particularly sure it matters with how quick that car has been. Same as last time, it is a very quick car. And Durspike is in. Oh, he's in on the same time as Extelen, and I think he is short, and that was definitely on fuel. That car had solid tyres when I last looked at it. So they are an awkward distance from home here. They are 38 minutes from home, which means they have to do 19-minute stints, which is probably very possible with this car. Just has to run on a little more worn tyres than he'd like to save a 22-second pit stop on the way home. He has a 1:19 on the way, which is the quickest in-lap I've actually noticed, because I've not really noticed them. I have to wait and see what the out-lap is, and Pastina Calder now 1.2 behind Groot. So Groot looks to be quicker than Pastina, and then Pastina looks to be quicker than Groot, and then Groot will look slower than Pastina, and then Pastina will look faster, and they're just all over the place. So they're, depending on what phase of the stint they're in, one car looks better than the other. I say Groot looks better in the early phase, Pastina looks better in the middle phase, and then at the end it can be either of them depending on who's worked their tyres harder in the first 2 halves of the stint. You see J-Lee there still trucking along in second place. He is 10 seconds off the lead, but looking at that tyre wear, looking at that fuel, I'd say he is due in at any moment. He's going to go another lap, so his strategy, he's only pitted once. No, he can't have only pitted once. That's incredible. You'd have to... no, he has only pitted once. You're right, Brian. Come on, think about it. So he's doing 27-minute stints, meaning he will need to do 36 or so minutes to the end of the race, which means he'll have 2 18-minute stints to go very quickly, or he'll have one very long stint, one very short stint to fight off anyone near him at the end, as he is less than a pit stop behind Rotary now. So he'll come out fighting Rotary for the next few laps, but look at Rotary's tyres and fuel. He will be in shortly as well. The gap behind out to 18 seconds over Fred Dude, so he has claimed the ascendancy there. Fred unable to make the difference with his superior tyre wear, although he did pit later on, I believe. So I have to wait and see on that one. But I'm very interested to see where Rotary and Jaylee come out relative to each other. Jaylee with barely any fuel left. The rear practically on the canvas. No, it is on the canvas. The front thinking about it, he will come in this lap, surely. And there he is, in after 48 laps, 54 minutes. But unfortunately for him, that strategy is fantastic for a 2-hour race, but not so much a 90-minute race, I don't think, because his next stop on this schedule would be the 81st minute with 9 minutes remaining. So we'll have to see what he does with that. Firestones on that car, suiting the American vibe. Good on him. It actually fits the paint scheme quite well with the red sponsorship on the black areas. So they've picked their tyre well here for visuals, as we see Rotary slide on by into second place, and Jaylee comes out with a full tank of fuel. So potentially trying to go all the way to the finish here. That's a brave one, and he's on soft, so as the sun continues to get lower in the sky, it is now definitely dark. The headlights are certainly taken over here. That's a long way to go to the finish, so we'll wait and see what he does with that, because otherwise he is 8 seconds behind Rotary, and Rotary owes us at least one stop. If it's only one stop between, it can't be one stop between him and the finish unless he can find a massive amount of tyre wear. So I think Rotary is 2 stops from home. I think Jaylee is 1 stop from home. And that 8-second lead that Rotary has will become a deficit of something in the region of 10 seconds. But if Jaylee's going to go a long stint here, Rotary could come out ahead of him and force Jaylee to fight him back and overtake. So Rotary, for full throttle racing, actually doing a quiet job here of trying to steal second place. I think the Team Finlanders boys thought they had this on lock. A nice comfy lead and a... Oh, I see yellow flags. I don't know who it's for. It might have been Bropario. Recovering, and he's got damage, so he's made a mistake in the first sector somewhere. Yellow flags came out, but he's continued. And ultimately, no damage to anyone else, just himself. So, oh geez, that car looking very damaged. The way it's not braking and not turning, so tough race for him, but he's still out there and he's still getting points for Team Scuderia, for Scuderia Chiara, not Team Scuderia, because Scuderia is of course team in Italian, or stable team, close enough. Speaking of Scuderia, it's Scuderia Stossi Uimli. I'll get there one day. 8th place here, 9 seconds behind Despite, but he has got damage on the left side. Maybe he picked up the... Well, we'll have to wait and see. Was it on last lap? No, he's doing 110. See, he decided it's too slow. Then he'll come in with 34 minutes remaining. It'll be 2 more stops to the home from him. The softs have betrayed him. They gave him fastest lap, and then he started chilling out and then made a mistake. So that leaves Despite free and clear, away from position 8. So the worst he can do right now is 7th, but he's got FTR Rotary up his chuff, as some British people would say. And it's going to be up to Despite to hop out the way for Rotary and not hold him up too badly, as Rotary is fighting for position 2 and position 3 here. He's trying to take position 2 off the Racing Team Finlanders car. And Scuderia there, you saw just pop up 100 litres of fuel, and he's going back to the mediums. He's going to try and get home on no more stops. He's decided that he doesn't want to be in the pit lane anymore today, and he just wants to focus on going around Blue Moon Bay. He's got 33 minutes to try and go. I think the fuel should get there. Whether or not the tyres do, we'll have to wait and find out, because I don't think he had that good a tyre wear. But Rotary will be in. Decided he didn't want to try and lap a car. He probably had enough fuel to do one more lap, but sensibly just brings it in. Instead of fighting the lap traffic, he's brought it into a very dark pit lane. No lights here, apparently. The crew are just going to do this one by feel, but it's a well-oiled machine here at the FTR crew. They can do it blindfolded, and we'll see right here they're doing it in the dark. No dramas, completely the same as if it was lit. Now fuel going in for the FTR car. Fred also in, same lap, same fuel. So Fred dude in the AequepaX racing car burning more fuel than Rotary. Rotary leading with 63 litres of fuel. Fred, I think he had better tyres, but on the same strategy with 32 minutes remaining. It's going to be 16-minute stops. Who has more fuel out of the two? I reckon Fred will have more fuel, but it's 59 litres. So it's a slight underfuel for Fred compared to Rotary, as Pastina Calder sneaks on by with Groot. So Fred is going to have to pass his team car and Pastina Calder if he wants to get back near Rotary, as these guys are not pitting for a while. Groot with under a quarter of fuel, so he's another 5 or 6 laps away, so it's going to have to happen on track. Pastina has way more fuel, but he has also more tyre to go deeper here, so looks like one stop for both of them. But one of them is going to be a lot later, so it might be an undercut there for Groot, and then Pastina will have to fight back, but it could be that Pastina has less fuel time. It's all up in the air. Even the guys on the same strategy are on different strategies. I'll hang here with Groot and keep an eye on things. So Rotary now 18.5 seconds behind Jaylee. We'll keep an eye on that, because I think Jaylee still owes us a stop, and Rotary probably owes us a stop. But if Jaylee loses too much time, he will come under threat from FTR Rotary for that position too. I'm going to hang out here with Groot because he's between his teammate in the other AequepaX racing car and between the Team DDR design with DCT Pastina Calder. And when these two pit, they will come out be fighting Durspythe, who's 24 seconds back of Groot. So I think Durspythe made a small error somewhere in that pit sequence, because he's not as close as I was expecting when they do eventually come out, because he should be undercutting them right now. And, well, Pastina pulling away from Groot so far, but Groot will be the first man to pit, and then we'll get the undercut on Pastina. Oh, big drift there from Groot. That's cost him time. The rears aren't going. That pit strategy he's on is an awkward one, and I think that rear tyre wear is his ultimate limiting factor. He came in early for damage and then was never really able to get off that early pit stop strategy, so he will have to come in twice more from here. I don't think he can do 30 minutes on a set of tyres, even if it is a set of medium tyres, despite the lowering track conditions and the hypothetically better tyre wear that brings. No new fastest lap out of SBM XLM. No signs of insane time attacking changing the course of the race so far. And there it is, Groot's in, and that makes it a little bit easier for Fred, as he no longer has to pass his teammate. But Fred with a 107.3, not particularly rapid, but not slow either. We'll have to look what Rotary's done. Yeah, and Rotary's done a 6.9, so Rotary 4/10 quicker than Fred. I don't know what the game plan here is. Fred obviously going to come in once more, same as Rotary, so maybe Fred just taking the first couple of laps gently to keep more tyre wear for more of the stint. We see Groot filling the car to almost to the top. He's got 88 and he's gone to mediums. So Groot has decided he doesn't want to come to the pit lane anymore. Doesn't want to do 15-minute stints on nice grippy soft tyres. He's going to go to the mediums and he's going to do one stop to home, but that extra fuel time has put him in behind Durspythe, so he's going to have to fight Durspythe on track. Durspythe does owe us a stop, but if Groot wants to hold his pace, he's going to have to try and clear Durspythe, as Durspythe's tyre wear has been not great. So for the Herman Motorsports, at the end of his stint, before he pits, Groot will likely have to clear him, assuming Groot can do 108s on those medium tyres. And Pastina responds straight away. They've come in a lap later. They have heaps of fuel. They have heaps of tyres. They could have gone longer and then come in for softs, destroying Groot on those lovely soft tyres in a final stint. Have to wait. He's going to have to go mediums if he wants to come in now. He's got no damage. He's literally just copying Groot to lock in 5th place. And sure enough, filled to 80 litres. He's got back out on softs. Well. He's made this one interesting for us because, yeah, he owes us a pit stop still. He needed to stay out. He's copied Groot, not realising Groot's gone to the mediums. Well, I feel like that's a misplay for Pastina Calder, because the gap behind is 6 seconds to Durspythe and 8 seconds to Groot. He needs to have 20 in his pocket if he wants to come out ahead of Groot, and I reckon if he had stayed out, he would have only needed one more pit stop. He had plenty of time in his hands. He could have gone another 10 laps and only made one more stop, but now he's going to have to make another stop from here. And it's a lot easier to make a final stop, come out behind your opponent with brand new tyres, than to make 10 seconds up and do that. So, looks like Groot on those mediums, unable to clear Durspythe, not got the same pace as him. Durspythe pulling away since he's come out of the pits, but with those lower temperatures, it could be the mediums are taking a couple of laps to get up to temperature. As we can see, TSG Scuderia doing low 108, so it will be possible, but it's just something he's got to learn about how the way the car's moving around and what he can get away with, what he can't get away with. as it's a 108.4 for Groot. He was very quick on the softs, remember, so it's probably just that learning curve of as he works out what he can and can't get away with around this layout where his new braking points are. What that new feeling of the car will make it through this corner from the midpoint, because I don't think he's done much running on those mediums before now, having to just throw them on here at death to try and make something happen against Durspike and Pastina Calder for that position 5 fight. Pastina only 19 seconds behind Fred, which is actually quite close, but they've both recently pitted and they both owe us a stop, so 19 seconds between Rotary, Fred and Pastina each. So looking rather settled there unless anything can change, but Rotary to Jaylee, it's down to 17 seconds. And they've got similar sort of tyre wear. Jaylee, of course, with slightly more worn tyres, but he will go very long in this stint, we know. Potentially to the end, I don't know. If the Racing Team Finland's car can do that, I'll be very surprised and impressed as he now catches Groot. Groot overtook him in the previous stint. Now he will lap Groot in response. Groot not really hopping out the way yet as he waits for Jaylee to arrive on him, as he's getting used to those new medium tyres. Jaylee's on him now, and there you go, Groot hops out the way there. Probably an awkward way to go about it. Cost him a lot of time. It's lost him a second and a half so far. He was under 3 seconds on Durspike. Now it's over 4.5, but it's come down. Durspike making... Oh no, he had to lap Brapario, so he's lost basically all of the advantage that Groot gave him by letting Jaylee pass, as Brapario now jumps out the way of the chasing pack. Now Durspike 3.5 seconds with Jaylee in between, so he will have to jump out the way for Jaylee at some point when Jaylee catches him, because Jaylee will catch him in that Racing Team Finlander's car, that Supra. They're very quick drivers. And we saw Mr. T in chat, the leader of the TDR design team, very happy with Pastina's efforts so far, despite that one little oopsie, which probably cost him an attack at 4th place. Oh no, yellow flags, will they fall? I'm not seeing damage, I'm not seeing anyone slow. So there was yellow flags there, but I didn't see who it was. We'll go back to Pastina. He's got the advantage over Durspike, and Durspike owes us one stop to home, potentially. He'll go long to get 20 minutes left. Yeah, he should get that. Pastina will have to get one more stop here, I'm pretty sure, unless he has worked out the absolute Zen master driving technique to get home on this set of soft tyres from half an hour out. The gap is now 9 seconds to Durspike and 12 to Groot. He still needs another 10 seconds if he wants a late pit stop. There'll be very little fuel to go in that car at the end there, but having the car lighter now is probably more important, because you can make the car quicker now to get ahead of your opponent instead of having a short fuel when it doesn't matter. So having the short fuel to try and bring you out, you still have to put the same amount of fuel in across those 2 pit stops. Unless he was going to come out directly on top of someone, I don't know why you wouldn't have taken the short fuel now to make the car quicker, to make sure you clear your opponent when you do take that pit stop later on, because when you do make that pit stop, the final stop means you need the amount of fuel you need. Excuse me. So if you need 60 litres to get home from that final stop, it doesn't matter how much fuel you had before, you always need 60, so that final stint you can't make any quicker, but the second last stint you could have made potentially 2 or 3 tenths quicker. So Mr. T and Fred have been dancing around each other like two men with swords, refusing to engage. I believe there was a mixed martial arts competition where they said you couldn't punch the other guy. It was a boxing match, I believe. So two dudes, no, it was MMA, and they circled each other for about 15 minutes before the fight was cancelled, because neither of them knew how to fight without throwing a kick or a punch or whatever it was. Follow John Boyce for more hilarious sporting content. Anyway, back with the race. Pastina with a 10-second lead over Durspike, but Groot catching Durspike, so it wasn't necessarily a gain for Pastina, as we saw Durspike there getting lapped by Jaylee. So the fight of Pastina and Groot is still very much in the balance. Groot with the advantage of not having to pit between now and home. He's done 8 minutes and those tyres are barely worn. So he will likely make it home. Now he's into the low 108s. He's figured out how to drive these mediums and is making the pace work. And we see Tetsy Scuderia. It was him who made the off. It was a 1:13.7 on that previous lap. So he brought up the yellow flags a lap ago. And he's back into the 108s. He had a 7.8 in there, so he's doing all right, but it's a long way to home for him. And I can't really see, unless dramas befall anyone else, him leaving 8th place for the Scuderia Stossi Wimley squad, which is half backed, well, 2/3 backed by the defending champions, Stossilla Racing Team car drivers from last season, Season 2. They are the defending champions, I will remind you. Easy to forget when you've got the Speedbot boys going pole, fastest lap win every week so far, which was all of last week, but it looks like they're on track to do it again here today, to go 2 from 2, maximum 53 points, 106 points after 2 rounds. So we'll just, it's a long season. I'm sure one of these guys will figure it out with the Racing Team Finlanders particularly looking strong to be their next best competitors. They've got great tyre wear and good pace. They just need to find their track to where they've got similar enough pace and enough tyre advantage to make something happen, to give us a fight for that lead. But at the front, they are still 16 seconds clear of FTR Rotary. And we can see that front right tyre is down to about 60% here for Rotary. So he will be in, well, in the next 10 or so minutes. I don't think he'll make it to the end. Jaylee, similar tyre wear, slightly more tyre I reckon, but lots of fuel in hand, so he's got 20 more minutes to go. He might get there. He might have no tyres left when he does, but he might actually manage to get there somehow, which is incredibly impressive if he pulls it off. And now we see SBM Extelen catching Groot and Durspythe. Groot has made his way onto the back of Durspythe here. It's about 1 and a bit seconds, but we'll probably see Extelen in this lap. And as you look at that time chart on the right, it's 5.8, 6.0, 6.0, 6.1, 6.1, 6.3, 6.3, 6.3, 6.3. Speed bot, indeed. That is a robotic consistency as the tyre wear pulls him out into a lap time. His slowest lap is the next car's best lap, or there or thereabouts, as Groot jumps out of the way. And Durspythe will probably do the same. Oh, big drift there from Extelen. He will now come into the pits, I reckon, this lap for what should be his final pit stop. He needs to do 19 minutes from here, so it'll be 18 and a half, 18 by the time he gets through the pit lane. And Durspythe letting through the leader, but letting Groot get closer to him. And sure enough, the SBM car is in. Durspythe joins him. So instead of fighting Groot on track, he takes to the pits. So Durspythe will come out on fresh tyres. He will have 18 minutes, which is going to be 16 or so laps, to try and catch Groot in front of him, who will not come to the pit lane again on schedule anyway. So if Durspythe comes out 22 seconds back, he needs to be making out 1.2 seconds a lap with 16 laps. More, 1.2? No, more than that, 1.4. And Durspythe comes out ahead of Extelen on the fuel. He is 24 seconds down, so he needs to be 1.5 seconds per lap quicker than Groot if he wants to catch him. Groot on those mediums, they of course are the slower tyre, but with their degradation he may find himself struggling at the end of the stint. But looking at how little they have worn in the first part of the stint, he's probably wondering why he wasn't on these from the beginning. He could go all day on those tyres. And they look to be wearing kind of even, but the rear is starting to deg out, never mind. And Tetsy Scuderia is coming in. No damage on the car. Maybe he can't get there on fuel and he's decided to bring it in, or he's decided that actually, you know what, I prefer the softs. These mediums are very scary. And yep, he's gone to softs. Didn't look like they fueled the car. He's losing too much time on the softs and he's realised the error of his strategy. He's decided to come in, pick up the softs and run the last 16 laps on them to try and make up the probably 16 or so seconds he just lost from pitting. So it needs to be a second lap quicker than his mediums. We're going to let him be. So Pastina is 17 seconds clear of Groot, almost 18 seconds clear, and he needs to be going quick here. And let's have a look at his lap times. It's 7.6, 7.3, 7.5, 7.5, 7.6, 7.5, and then 6.9, 6.6. He's turned up the wick here in the last couple of laps. and is now pulling away from Groot. He's worked out. The team's told him, no, Groot's on mediums. He's going to the end. Pastina needs to get on with it. And it's a 107.1, but it's going to be a lot quicker than Groot's 108s or high 107s. So he's pulling a second a lap here in order to buy himself a pit stop over Groot. He will have a short fueling stint, but as we saw there, the Durspike coming out 25 seconds behind Groot. So to be safe, he needs a 25-second advantage, although he will likely have to fuel less, but the fueling rate here is quite quick at 10 litres per second, so it's not necessarily going to be 25, but it could be 23 seconds with an extra 20 litres in hand, because he did fill the car on the previous stint, but that's still 5 seconds away, and we are still 16 minutes away from being home. Although, looking at those tyres, you'd say they might make it. So he was doing 107s because he was looking after the tyre. I don't know if he's got enough fuel to get to home, because I think they pitted after 1 hour, and we are still short of the 1 hour 15 mark. So that's where he realised that even though he's been looking after the car, looking after the tyres, doing 107s, he's not going to get there on fuel. So now he just has to attack, do 106s, build the gap over Groot, come out, put some fuel in the car with fresh tyres, and then hopefully come out ahead of Groot, and if not, pass Groot on brand new softs compared to worn mediums. We'll check in with Rotary in position 3 here. He's still 17 seconds behind Jaylee. Jaylee has the fuel to go to the end, but looks like he will not have the tyres to go to the end, as he's been doing those 107s, and he too has gone from doing 107s to committing to 106s. So both the Racing Team Finlanders car and the TDR Design car both found half a second in the last couple of laps when they've realised that their strategy is not quite going to work out with that half-hour stint to home. As the sun has fully set and the temperatures have dropped, the tyre wear increase has not been enough for them to make this strategy work. Whereas Groot on those mediums, still lots and lots of tyre left for him. He'll be very happy seeing that. And maybe should have been on the soft, maybe on mediums earlier in the heat and then gone to the softs when it cooled off. We saw that a lot in Season 2, where it was the Stossi Racing boys would run long medium stints and then cut to the soft, and just as you thought they were out of contention, they'd bring themselves back into the podium and steal position 2, steal the win with incredible tyre life on the softs as the temperature dropped. So they knew when the transition point was. And it would appear that again, the difference between the afternoon daylight sort of temperatures and the evening temperatures is making a huge difference in terms of tyre wear. So Fred, 21 seconds down, owing us a pit stop probably this lap or the next, with 14 minutes to go. So it'll be a very short final stint for him, but he's 18 seconds clear of Pastina Calder for the Team TDR Design. Whether he will definitely come out behind Pastina, but Pastina will owe us a pit stop, most likely on fuel. That could have been very interesting. Had Pastina continued doing 107s and looked after the fuel, Fred actually would have found himself behind Pastina Calder in 5th place, needing to overtake him on track in order to steal back position 4. So Pastina Calder, had he gone a couple laps longer on that previous stint, could have gone all the way to the end on the one set of tyres and fuel and potentially stolen P4 away from Fred dude, but he got lured into an earlier stop than he would have liked, with AXR Group coming in on the hour mark and swapping to mediums. So Team TDR Design there might have been able to steal P4, so unfortunate for them that they got sucked in on that one. But the gap is now out to 22.3 seconds. The gap is ever so slowly inching out there. It's not slowly inching out there. He's taking a second lap out of him, because you can see now Groot doing mid-high 7s with an 8.7 in there. So he's also picked up the pace. He's decided that tyre wear is good enough and he has to push because Pastina's trying to pull away from him. So wouldn't be surprised if we see Groot at the end of his stint starting to struggle on those medium tyres as the rear really starts to dig out. He's going to have to be a little bit smart here and burn those fronts up and look after that right rear if he wants to have any sort of chance of fighting Pastina in the end of the race, but it's out to 24 seconds. I reckon Pastina's going to come back out in 5th place, and there's not much Group can do about it on those mediums. It was a good change from Pastina Calder to go find that 7-8 tenths of lap to just make sure he is clear of the AEquepaX racing car. But unfortunate, he was unable to steal a position off the other AEquepaX racing car with that strategy. It was a good effort, but I was really disappointed when he came in early. Had he gone maybe 5 laps longer, he would have come out in a great position to try and steal P4 here off Fred Dude, having another good race, starting towards the rear, working his way forward. Unable to make inroads on Rotary, but he hasn't really lost ground at all. And we'll see with 11 minutes left. It's going to be tyres and a little drink of fuel here. Not much time here in the pit lane. Less than 50 litres. It's 40 litres on the counter, and away he goes, comfortably in P5, long way ahead of Group, but he's still 5 seconds behind Pastina Calder. So Pastina, 10 minutes away. Can you make that on fuel? Maybe he's short on fuel compared to Fred, so I think he is resigned to a pit stop with probably 1 or 2 laps remaining. Whether or not Fred gets there, well, let's not tell Fred that Pastina has to pit again, probably, unless Pastina finds a way to save fuel magically. He's going to struggle. He has been saving fuel, I reckon, so we'll have to wait and see if he can get it done. But if he manages to somehow bring this car home, the M6 generally pretty thirsty on fuel, I'll be very, very impressed. He's done well with the tyres to keep them up for as long as he has. Can he steal position 4 from Fred Dude? Fred on brand new tyres and a very light car will be attacking to try and catch up. And we're getting blue flags for FTR Rotary. He'll be in this lap, but that means the leaders, SBM, Speedbots Motorworks, are right behind them with Exterlen about to lap him. However, he will pit and then be lapped, but Exterlen will not pit again, so that is a legitimate lapping for the FTR guys. Never mind, they've stayed out 1 more lap. So they will find themselves a lap down at the end of this thing, and a lap down at a bit more than 20 seconds. Jaylee will pit, and he will also find himself lapped. So SBM might actually lap the field here at Blue Moon Bay. That's incredible. Jaylee running wide there on those worn tyres. The left-hand tyres, of course, not near as worn as the right-hand tyres, but it's still hurting performance. He has 18 seconds over Rotary. He's got plenty of fuel, just not as much tyres as he'd like, and if Rotary is being lapped there, as he has been, 18 seconds back, I think that means Jaylee will come out behind Exterlen, who's doing 105s, mid-105s, quite comfortably too. That's very impressive. He'll find himself lapped here in the, round 2 of Season 3 of the AequepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. This 90-minute stint of 3 hours of Blue Moon Infield A. And Rotary is in. He's got a 40-second lead over Pastina Calder, so he will be absolutely A-OK to be ahead of him. And that means he is well ahead of Fred Dude as well. Quite low on fuel and tyres there for Rotary. FTR, of course, I think it was Rotary, had the Ford GT in Season 1. And they learned that when the tyre goes completely away, that grip also completely goes away, as they ended up spinning on the final lap, losing there. I think it was P4 at the time, to everyone else who managed to start that final lap, and it was an absolutely heartbreaking moment for them. But they've learned from that, and they're coming in with the tiniest sliver of tyre remaining for their final stop with a comfy 20-second lead. 18 seconds, 17, 16, yeah, we'll get there. A 15-second lead over Pastina Calder there in 4th place. Pastina now with a quarter of a tank of fuel left in the car. Tyres wearing, but he's still 4 seconds ahead of Fred Dude, who has slightly more fuel but a lot more tyres. So can Pastina make Fred sweat? Make Fred have to catch him to try and take back position 4. There's only 7 minutes remaining, and that'll be 7 laps from here probably. So anything still can happen at the front here. Groot now more than 25 seconds behind Fred, which means he is certainly behind Pastina if Pastina pits. assuming Pastina does not make a mistake and get damage in between now and pitting, because of course damage takes extra time to repair, and if he's gone and got damage, there's a good chance he will have made a mistake and lost time as well. So it's not all over for Groot, not by a long shot, but he has to stay consistent, continue running those 108s. So they started to stall back into the 109s there as that rear tyre really starts to wear. It's now just below half and his front's above half, so that disparity in grip is starting to really hurt. And we see Jaylee in from the Racing Team Finland's car. He will have 6 minutes left in his race with brand new racing soft tyres, but he's got 31 litres of fuel. That's enough to the finish. Didn't quite have the range he needed. He did 24 minutes there on that stint, not quite the half hour he was looking for. Probably needed to drive a bit slower and look after them, but in the end it doesn't really matter because his main rival, FTR Rotary, has pitted, so it was safe to do so. As he slides back out in front of AXR Group, the AequepaX racing cars are 5th and 6th in a queue, but Fred now turning up the pace. He's done the 107s in the first couple of laps just to look after the tyre, and now he's doing 106s, chasing down DCT Pastina Calda for the TDR Design Racing Team. That front right is starting to evaporate on him. He's got 5.5 minutes left, which will be 5 laps remaining with those 107s. So he will come across the line probably 10 or 20 minutes after the 90 minutes expires here for stint 2 of round 2 for the 3rd season of the AccuX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. So all to play for here if he can make this work. Honestly, just a couple more laps on that previous stint. Oh, what could have been for the TDR Design team. Fred would be working a lot harder right now to catch up. But he still has, importantly, has track position, which means he's giving dirty air to the car behind. So the car behind will be working through less grip available to him than otherwise. Also, we saw that the AMG was not particularly quick in a straight line, so it's not going to be a slam dunk automatic overtake for Fred Dude. He's going to have to work for it. Make sure he gets that great line through the second last corner, stays in the slipstream, and then gets the run down to turn 1. But of course, the M6 very good on brakes, so it's not necessarily over if he gets alongside. We'll just have another 4 minutes and 15 seconds to find out. It's 4 more laps for these guys. We'll jump in with the leaders when they start finishing, but I think these guys will be the first to cross to finish the race, because the race ends when the timer ends, not the timer ends, then the leader crosses, and then everyone has to finish after the leader. So you can finish 4 seconds behind the leader, but you will cross after the checkered flag and officially lose by a lap. But it's a great line there from Pastina. He's taking all the road, using all he can to try and stay ahead as the rumble of the AMG gets closer and closer. It's 1.4 seconds now as the race comes to a close here. Mr. T in chat, team leader there at TDR Design, getting very involved. He's on the edge of his seat. We're on the edge of our seat. It's now 1.1 seconds. He will be in the slipstream next lap. Will he be able to pass next lap? He will have 3 laps to go, and he'll have 2 laps to attack and make an attempt here, because if you don't get it done down at turn 1, there's a good chance you don't get it done at all here. It might be a little bit last lap dash. 1.1 second lead there for Pastina, sort of defending the slipstream. I'm not sure why, because I believe the slipstream starts later on after 1 second. Fred pushing very hard, getting right up to the wall. It's now 9/10 of a second. Completely worn tyres for Pastina. Very low fuel for Pastina, but grit and determination to make up for that early mistake. He's found a way back in against Fred Dude. It was the fight he was having earlier on, and he's found a way to sneak himself back into P4 after that early mistake. All running a little wide there. The gap is now under 6/10. It's 5/10. He's just got to stay down on those apexes. Make sure he doesn't lose time. Yes, correct, overtaking is tough here, but when you make mistakes like that, he's pushing a little too hard on those very worn tyres. It's 0.3 of a second. He got a slightly better run through the second last corner, but the speed is with Fred Dude, as now he has the slipstream. Pastina staying up high. He's going to pull away, even though he's giving slipstream. That's a very slippery BMW. So Fred's going to have to get it done in the corners, which means Pastina's going to have to find a way to get down to those apexes APEXs and defend without braking too early and letting Fred get around the outside. It's 3/10. There's 2 laps remaining for these boys. So he knows he's there, so he's going to just have to back up Fred and make sure Fred can't get the inside, can't go clean around the outside. This is going to be interesting. Fred is Pastina going straight to the outside. Does he defend? Does Fred launch the dive? Fred dives. He'll get there. But it's an over and under. He's gone deep. That's huge. That's great for Pastina. Oh, and Fred then running wide there, trying to get the cutback again. He's going to have to wait for another lap here. He's going to have to find another opportunity in. That was very mature driving Pastina. He saw the lunge and decided there's no way Fred can pull it off from back there. He's good, but he's not that good. And of course, Fred ran slightly deep, and that was just enough for Pastina to cut back. There's not much tyre left, but there's enough left for one more lap here at Blue Moon Bay. 60 more seconds. Pastina blocks the inside, then goes back onto the racing line, realizing he's quicker than Fred when Fred's got slipstream. Never in my days did I think I'd see that. And Fred launches the inside, gets it turned, gets it done. Well done from the AquepaX racing car. He was close enough to just go to the inside and use that fresh right front tyre to brake and turn the car. Pastina didn't think he had to block or get down to the inside, and he was punished for that. Great opportunistic move from Fred. That's exactly what he had to do. That was just quality driving from Fred there. And Pastina, there's not much he can do with that completely cooked front right, because he was trying to brake and turn through turn 1 because it's a long trail braking entry. He needed to be down on the apex from the start, force Fred around the outside, and then use Fred as an ability to turn. So, a thrilling conclusion, a last lap overtake. He gives it everything out of the final corner, but it's not going to be enough. He needed to be right on the back with his straight line advantage to try and make a slipstream pass before the start-finish line, but it's not going to be enough. It's 4th place for Fred Dude after 90 minutes here. A 106.8 to get us home. Pastina finishing 5th. Trying to catch who it is. I've missed it. It's Bropario coming home 9th. He's done well to finish for the Scuderia car, but that's our winner, SBM XLN. Bugger all fuel in the car, no tyres on the car, but it's still a 105.9. Those guys are incredible. 2nd place with damage. Damage for Jaylee. He's thrown it off with 3 laps to go after setting his personal best lap of a 105.7. A sweet donut to finish it. Unfortunately, a lap down for them, 1 minute 22, but 16 seconds ahead of FTR Rotary, who's come home in 3rd place. A fine effort from him. We also saw sneaking across the line was THC Scuderia for the Scuderia Stossi Umni team. But bringing it home in 7th place is Herman Motorsports HM Dospaith. Great name, great livery, well driven. Only 13 seconds behind Groot in the end there. They made back a good 7 and 10 seconds. And it's saying pole position for SBM XLN, but nothing about fastest lap. But he most certainly had that fastest lap. Congratulations again for Speedbots Motorsport for another perfect weekend. Pole position, fastest laps, plural, victory plural for both races, both stints here for round 2. And we'll have a quick look at the results, because I remember to do that this time. In the end there, Jaylee only able to do, he's a half a second clear of the rest of the field, but he's still half a second short of the Speedbots boys. 105.7 and then made the wall, but it didn't affect the result as he clears Rotary. And you saw Rotary and Fred there, 106.27 plays 106.26. Nothing in it. Those two, just their starting position was the only difference, where Rotary was able to get into clean air at the start, whereas Fred was struggling for a little bit longer, and then he eventually found his feet here and then pushed on to take 4th place. DCT Pastina Calder for the TDR Design Racing team. A great little strategy at the end, but ultimately coming unstuck on the final lap. Heartbreak for those guys, but a great result for Pastina. It could have been a lot worse after that early spin, early damage, early pit stop. He was thinking on his feet there today and did a great job. And sad result there ultimately for AquepaX Racing's second car with Groot at the wheel. He was running P4 early on, very strong, great pace, P3 even I should say, with great pace early on. But a small mistake and then an interesting strategy choice means that he finds himself back up into 6th place, but it will always feel like what could have been had it not been for that early mistake and the early pit stop. I really think he would have been fighting with Fred and Pastina Calder for position 4 there. So Groot can be happy with his recovery, but he'll be filthy with himself with the mistake in the first place. But that's racing sometimes. 7th place for the Home Motorsport, Despite. Didn't quite have the pace, but had a very interesting strategy and was able to make it a lot closer than it ultimately should have been, considering they were doing high 7s instead of high 6s on those soft tyres. But they'd made it work. They did a good job to stay in the game. It was, as you can see there on the fastest laps, the guys in front of them were doing 6.2, 6.4, 6.5, and their best lap was a 7.1. So maybe not the ultimate pace, but good consistency over the tyre in order to bring that car home in 7th, clear of a man with the same fastest lap, being the THC Scuderia for the Scuderia Stossi team, with defending champions Stossila Racing bolted into that team with THC Scuderia. Not the great result for him or that team. They'd probably be expecting more as defending champions to be the 8th quickest car and in 8th place. It is also finally worth mentioning Broporipo. I've been saying his name wrong the entire time. I am so sorry. Broporipo. The substitute driver for Nano Maranello at the Scuderia Chiara car, but a 107.6, not far off the pace. He eventually got himself where he needed to, but was very politely jumping out of the way of everyone, bringing home crucial points for their team as they will be fighting later on in this championship. Don't count them out just yet. We saw last year they had a very good car in the second half. Speedy Man Charles is very good, very quick, great on tyres. They will have a strong championship position. Do not worry about it. So once again, congratulating the Speedbot boys for another perfect sweep here in the AquepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. And Groot won't even let me finish. I was going to say the next round will be from St. Croix at Layout A, and that'll be on March 30. So it will be a 3-week gap between now for a 3 hours for round 3 of season 3 here at the AquepaX Racing GT World Endurance Championship. I am StinksTC. I've been your host. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you all next time.